I have 4 sons, 2 biological, 2 bonus sons. So we have partnered with Noble, and we're really excited about these workshops for leadership, so that we can work with our sons and have discussions with law enforcement in reference to how we can move forward with our agenda. The National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives, as DePelsha mentioned, we have dates with them for the next probably about 6 to 8 weeks. So the first workshop is on May 19th in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. The next workshop is May 23rd in Long Island, New York. The next one is June 2nd in Columbus, Georgia. There's another one on June 2nd in Los Angeles, California. There is one on June 8th in Amityville, New York. On June 9th in Atlanta, Georgia, on the prestigious campus of Morehouse University. And then there's another one to be announced in Houston, Texas. These workshops can be, you can definitely go on our website, mobunited.org, and register or for any information about these workshops. You're welcome to go. You're welcome to register to go to any of these workshops. And anything that happens in the future, we'll definitely let you guys know about them. We'll also have our next leadership call on June 9th will be with the Noble Organization executives Clarence Cox and Dwayne Crawford, and they will be speaking with us on June 9th.
Thank you, Kamari. As Kamari said, we're excited about this partnership because we really, have to foster dialogue with law enforcement to change things. So we're hoping by starting this with this organization that's made up of Black law enforcement officers that we can start to bridge the gap. They have a turnkey workshop that they do on, police interactions, but it's really about having a conversation with them to try to foster greater understanding of what our sons go through and help them to understand that perspective and also hear their perspective so that we can try to make some progress. So that's the Noble Partnership, and I believe you're going to share something else next, right, Kamari?
Yes. The next slide. Thank you. So we're going to be having our next Facebook Live reading on May 27th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time with Trina. We're going to be having a book called The Adventures of Craig and KJ. These are the rules. And we're really excited about this partnership. This is one of our moms, and she is really excited about this. This is her first book. So I'm really happy that we were able to work with her, Trina Patterson, so that we can bring this book to you guys. And there will be 4 books available. The first person to log in and respond during the Facebook Live meeting, she'll be giving out 4 books. So looking forward to that, and I'm hoping that you guys will log in so we all can listen to her first book.
Excuse me, ladies. Somebody needs to hit *6 to mute out. We're getting a lot of background noise and can't hear.
Yeah, we should mute everyone and then have Kamari start this.
Mm-hmm.
Vanessa, can you mute everyone? So, Kamari, please dial *6 to unmute yourself. But everyone else has been muted, so if you need to speak later, you'll need to dial *6.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize I was
okay, there you go.
Sorry about that. Sorry. So I'm hoping that you ladies will join us on this Facebook Live reading. We have them every single month, usually on the 3rd or last Sunday of the month. So I'm hoping that you guys will join us for Trina Patterson's new book, The Adventures of Craig and KJ. These are the rules. It's about brotherhood. So in the first 4 folks who log in and respond on the Facebook Live reading will receive a book. She's going to be sending out 4 books for our parents, for our moms. So thank you so much, and hope to see you on May 27th at 7 p.m. Eastern. Have a good day, ladies.
Thank you. Up next, Vanessa's going to talk to us about our Essence Festival execution. Vanessa, don't forget to *6.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. For the second year in a row, and as a way to commemorate our anniversary, or our mob-anniversary, as we like to call it, we will be at Essence Festival, the one place that we know that Black mom and Black women gather every year to celebrate music and to talk about issues that are important to them. So we will be back there this year with a booth, and that will run from July 5th through July 8th. Another thing that we're doing, this is our first time doing this, we're very excited. Mob United will be hosting a Champions of Change Awards breakfast where we will honor some very special moms, including the one that is joining us this morning, Ms. Gwen Carr. And we're really excited to have her here with us today and to be able to honor her on that day as well.
Wonderful. So if you want to join us at Essence, make your travel plans now. It's July 5th through 8th in New Orleans, and we'll have a booth there, just, letting people know about the organization as we did last year, and hope that you can be there with us. So up next, we are ready to transition to our very, very special guest speaker, Ms. Gwen Carr. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her and then turn it over to Vanessa to have a conversation with her. So Vanessa will ask her questions, and at the end, we'll do a Q&A. So if you have any questions throughout the conversation, feel free to post them in chat online, or at the end of the conversation, you'll be able to unmute yourself to ask questions. So keep that in mind. So Ms. Gwen Carr, as the matriarch of one of Staten Island's largest African-American families, Gwendolyn Carr has earned nationwide recognition as the mother of the late Eric Garner, who was murdered by the New York police in July of 2014. Because the incident was captured on a cell phone video and posted online, his death has played an integral part in raising awareness about the issue of police brutality in the United States, particularly for the Black community. Gwendolyn Carr's story began in South Brooklyn, where she lived most of her life and raised her family. A longtime employee of both the U.S. Postal Service and New York's Metropolitan Transit Authority, she had planned to retire before the tragedy occurred. Now, Mrs. Carr has become an activist determined to hold the city accountable for the shocking treatment of her son. With 3 children, 15 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren, she represents the voice of several generations, all of whom have suffered greatly from the loss of their beloved Eric. To assist with the healing of others, the nonprofit organization the Garner Way Foundation was established. Within the foundation, Mrs. Carr facilitates a program titled This Stops Today, which provides ongoing support and education to the ever-growing number of victims of violence and to the families suffering with tragedy and loss. The name of the program comes from her own son's words immediately before his death. Eric Garner said to the police, "This stops today," to express his frustration with their constant profiling and harassment. As the legal proceedings continue in the case of her son, Gwen Carr's maternal sensibilities will not allow a moment's pause in the fight for justice, and she will forever remain stridently dedicated to the cause. You can learn more about her mission at thisstopstoday.com. And Mrs. Carr, I just want to personally say what an honor it is to have you on the call this morning, to be in your presence, and how much we really, really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us this morning. Your story has been an inspiration for all of us in the work that we do, and we are so in awe of your strength and how you have handled the very unfortunate situation that you've been faced with. So welcome to Moms of Black Boys United, and I will turn it over to Vanessa now to start the conversation. And don't forget, you have to star 6 to unmute yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tapelsha. I have to echo your sentiments. I had the pleasure of meeting Ms. Carr at a screening that we did for a show called Two Sides. And after the screening, I went to her just to talk to her and to meet her. And what struck me as a very interesting moment was Mrs. Carr reached out to me and hugged me. And I felt like it was such a motherly thing to do, and it comforted me in a moment that I felt that she should be the one comforted. So I have to thank you for that moment that I do hold very dear in my heart. And, even if tomorrow weren't Mother's Day, There's no way that we can start this call without acknowledging and celebrating what you represent as a mom. You know, you're the mother of energy and one of tremendous spirit. And even within your golden years, your energy is youthful as you fight for justice and act as a voice for the voiceless. Ms. Carr, we celebrate you and we thank you. And now we'll start our questions. Let's see. I'm doing two jobs at once, so please forgive me. You know, being a mother of a black boy in the 70s and 80s, what were your early days of motherhood like? Please remember to dial *6 so we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. I thought I was unmuted. I'm sorry. Yes, I said my early days of motherhood was wonderful. I had my boys with me at all times, or if they weren't with me, they were with my parents, which was a great help to me. We had good times together. We had family gatherings. We had barbecues, and my children actually had the best of both worlds because they were with my parents who pampered them, and then they were with me, and they know I was doing the best that I could. So those were happy days for me.
That's wonderful. Sorry about that. Do you think that anything differs, you know, from raising a black boy in today's climate versus when you were raising your son?
Yes, I do, because raising a black boy in today's age, you know, some children, they have gotten away from, you know, the parenting. They think they know it all, which we have to grab them back and let them know that we are still the parent and show them the right way to go, because it is critical out here. And younger mothers have to worry so much about the police, about the callousness of them coming into our neighborhoods, of them brutalizing our young and terrorizing and even shooting them down. They always say that they pose a threat. Why do we pose so much of a threat? No, and we gotta stop giving them any reason to even stop us.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. You know, I wonder if you had to have the talk, you know, that you know, be careful of the police kind of talk with your sons while they were growing up.
Well, definitely, you know, all black mothers, we know that we do have to talk. And what happens is that if we don't have the talk, they are so unaware of how cruel these streets can be out here. So we have to nurture. We have to tell them, we got to be point blank and tell them what's actually out here. We can't sugarcoat it. And I had help. My son's father, my first husband, died when Eric was only 5 years old. So I had to be the mom and the dad. But thank God I had the help of my parents. And my father used to talk to my children all the time. And I remember one thing he used to tell my boys. He used to say, now, you don't go out there getting in trouble. He said, when your mother disciplines you or spanks you, she does it with love. The police is not going to do it with love. It's going to be a different story. So, yes, we do have to have that talk with our children.
Yeah. And how do you think, what are some of the ways that you would suggest, like kind of looking back in hindsight on what your father shared with your sons, and considering that there's so much that is going on now and so much to see, how do you suggest that we talk to our sons about staying safe in today's climate?
Okay, first of all, I think that we have to teach our children respect for others as well as self-respect. We have to let them know that they have to be an upstanding individual, and present themselves as such. Mm-hmm. So even people in the neighborhood would know, hey, that kid is, not a bad kid. We have to represent. Mm-hmm. And, and we have to tell them, stay clear of the police if you can foresee what's going to happen. We can't always foresee, but just in case that you can. And be mindful of the company you keep. Right. Because oftentimes a police officer will stop you because of the person you're with. Mm. Rather than, for yourself, but then it implicates all of you. And, if you do happen to get into one of these stops, please comply so that you can walk away from this stop being unharmed or even, murdered. And I would like to let all mothers know, let your children know that you love them and that you care about them. And, they will take this with them.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. It's something that I definitely struggle with myself, and I find myself sometimes just telling my son all the time before he walks out the door to be safe, as I'm sure most moms do. And sometimes, I wonder if it's, just being too much. But I feel like we play so many different roles in, as a mom. We're nurse, we're cook, we're chef, we're bodyguard, and the sort,
Exactly.
And so,
absolutely.
I can't think of any other word to describe us, really. And I know people say it sounds cliche, that we're super women. Is there a day that stands out in your mind where you felt like you were, as a mom, you felt like you truly had superhuman strength?
Oh boy, there's so many of them. I mean, I used to have an S on my chest on a regular.
Right.
I would get up in the mornings, get the kids up, get them a quick breakfast, because I used to always make them bathe the night before so they could just get up and just wash up, in the morning. And, get them dressed, so we can get out. But now in the morning, particular mornings we get up, one of the boys can't find one of the shoes, and they're supposed to be right in front of their bed, so when they get up, they can put them on. The other one can't find their sweater. My daughter would want something else to put on. She don't want to wear what I told her to put on, and so I would have to, get up, go look for the shoe, have to find the sweater, which was right inside of his coat. Now I have to tell her, you're going to wear what I put out for you to wear. I don't have time to change your clothes. I have to be to the daycare by 8 a.m., to the school by 8:20, and then to work by 9:30. Now, if that's not Superwoman, you tell me what is.
It is exactly what I would expect of a Superwoman, and I'm sure many of us can concur with that, and have had similar experiences themselves. I almost feel like it sets you up for just having all those different things to do, sets you up for what you have been doing over the last few years, because I know that, when I turn on my TV or when I look in the news, I've seen you out there, like, being an activist and speaking up for our boys, and seeking justice for Eric. You have had, to me, you've had so many different experiences over the last few years, like working with Beyonce and going to the NAACP Awards. Is there a moment that you can share with us that really stands out in your mind in terms of, the recent journeys you've had?
Yes, there's a lot of moments, but actually, when I was invited to be, hold on one second.
Sure.
Okay. Oh, okay. They're on stage. You're going to do it in a couple of minutes. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. That was a little interruption. I'm sorry about that. But as I was saying, I was invited to one of the most talented people in the world to be in her video. And that was really, really heartwarming to me. And for her to want me to be in the video, to be there just as a mom who had experienced pain like so many other of us moms had, and just to see our expression as we held our son's pictures up, and it was just amazing, and it made me feel like a real celebrity at that moment. We had our own trailers, people coming in dressing us. It was just a real, real nice moment. And having a real conversation with Beyonce as well as the other talents. Just amazing.
That's it's really great that you're able to have those experiences, because I'm sure that they help to balance out the tough days and the tough conversations that you often have to have being in your situation. As I mentioned, you've done all of this work, activist work, and really working with the state of New York to get some major things changed. Can you share with me if you feel as though you've seen any changes happen in your response to activism?
Oh, well, we know change is slow. But I'm still on the battleground. I have been able, with other New York mothers, to get Governor Cuomo to sign an executive order for a special prosecutor. I have lobbied with other groups and committees to get council to vote on the Right to Know bill and get it passed, although part of it was good and part of it is kind of watered down, but we're still working on that. But there are so many things that I try to do with, I'm not doing all this by myself. No one can do everything by themselves. But with the groups that I work with and that I have been associated with, I have been able to accomplish more than I ever thought that I could.
That's amazing. When we're talking, I know change does absolutely take a long time to come. It's funny because when we started on this journey with Mob United, I think we felt the passion of the moms and the desire to make change happen, and everyone was ready to roll up their sleeves and dig in and get some work done. But over the year, or over the almost 2 years now, it's been, we've noticed that, no matter how, it's almost heartbreaking, because no matter how hard we work, we're still trying to find how we can make a dent and make a change. And then, of course, when we see more incidents happen time after time, it can sometimes be discouraging. So I'd love to find out from you, where do you think the change needs to start? Is it within the community? Is it, within the families, or maybe even politically? Where do you think our biggest changes need to start?
All of the above. We need the families, because they are the community, to get together and strategize about what is needed to strengthen the neighborhoods. And we have to get people to realize that voting is, our most strongest weapon. And voting in the local election, we must make them understand what is so important about voting in the local election and putting people in office that will be supportive to us in our neighborhoods. So it all works together.
Yeah, I definitely see how you've got to strategize and really find different places to implement your strategy. And speaking of that, this fight for justice has taken you so many places, and it's amazing, how you've taken your sorrow and turned it into strategy. How have you strategized to fight for justice for Eric?
Okay, I've been fighting for transparency, to reveal Pandaleo's record. I've been pushing for new bills. I've been pushing for the Justice Department to make a decision. I've tried to make moves to see, that we can get that executive order to become law, because right now it's just an executive order, but we want that to become law. And getting familiar with the politicians who will be the one who will be making decisions, and to give me an idea of whom it is that I should vote for in the elections. I've been to the CCRB meetings and trying to get Pandaleo charged, and they have found cause to charge him, but the NYPD is dragging it and will not give a case number to the file. So I have been there on the forefront trying to make that.
This we know. Are you still there, Ms. Carr?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, this we know. You've absolutely been on the forefront fighting for justice for your son, and we have joined in the fight as many times, as we can. We want to hear from you. What does justice for Eric mean for you? What do we want to see happen in his particular situation?
Okay, well, justice for the way I see it is that there is no justice for Eric because NYPD murdered him. And the whole world seen it on video. They watched him. They watched the NYPD as they murdered him. But it would be closure for me if everyone who was involved in my son's murder that day, the EMS, the NYPD, the sergeant, everyone who was involved, if they stand accountable and is disciplined for their misbehavior that day, get fired, get charged for their misconduct. This is what closure would look like for me.
Yeah, I absolutely understand that. And you know what? We want to see that happen. We want to help you find that closure. What can we as moms do to help continue to fight for justice for your son?
Well, the fight for justice is a big, long, lonely road. I need everyone to stand up and say and do what is right, no matter how uncomfortable it is. Write letters, make phone calls, urge other people who don't really understand the fight to come out, let them know how important this is. Support me as I travel around the country, and empower your children with the knowledge of what is actually going on out here. This is what I think would, help the fight.
Yes. Your story, and it's not a story because it's your life, it's reality, is just amazing to some of us, the strength that you've had. And I've shared with people sometimes that the strength that you've had and the other, mothers of the movement, what we've witnessed from them, that is what motivates me and gives us as Mob United the strength to continue to fight the way we do. Lots of people are interested in hearing more about what you've gone through, and I know that you have written a book. We'd love to hear, what inspired you to write the book.
I was inspired because I wanted to talk a little about myself to let people know who I really am and who Eric was. My feelings about my loss and some of what we can do to go forward to, finish this, fight for justice.
And what do you want, the readers to get out of it? Or, is there something that you can tell us about the book, a little tidbit that, that we will find when we read your book? Because we're going to get to the book. I know that I will for sure.
Okay. I hope that they will understand, what's really going on and who I really am, and to help them see the purpose of me continuing to fight, not only for my son, but for other children, for children who are not born yet. Maybe with this book, once they read it, others will come forward, and this might just bring about change. This is what I'm hoping that will happen once the book is read.
That's wonderful. I hope that does happen. A lot has been said about your son over the past years, and it goes without saying that no one knows your son like you knew your son, Ms. Carr. Is there anything as a mom that you would like us to know about your son, Eric?
Sure. First, Eric was my firstborn. He loved me, and I loved him also. He was a gentle soul, loved everyone, family, friends, just people. As a kid, he loved all sports. He loved school. He was a whiz in math. He played basketball in school, but his real love was football. He was a diehard Giant fan, even though they lost all the time. I'm so sorry. His favorite color was red. Christmas was his favorite holiday. He just loved Christmas. He used to play Christmas for his children and his Santa. I'm sorry. He played Santa for his children and his grandchildren. He could remember every toy he had gotten for Christmas since he, was a little boy. And he and his brothers, they used to reminisce about this all the time, how old they was when they got this toy and that toy. And he always remembered my birthday, Mother's Day, Christmas, no matter where he was.
That's beautiful. I always feel like there's nothing like the love between a mom and a son, and I feel very blessed to be a mom of a black boy. I really do.
Yes, you are. You really are.
Thank you. we're so blessed to have you on the call and to be able to develop this relationship with you. And, you know, it happened in that moment that we met, and then being able to follow up with your publicist, Nadia. I would love to ask her to share a little bit more about your book in terms of when we'll be able to find it and where we'll be able to find it. So Nadia, if you're on the line, if you could please
yes,
press
she's here. She can tell you
to share that with us. And before you go, Ms. Carr, again, thank you so very much.
You
for
are
taking
so
the time
welcome.
out this morning.
Yes.
We're looking forward to seeing you again and to spending some more time with you in the near future.
Definitely.
Please stick around because I know that we have lots of moms that have some questions for you. But before we dive into the questions, Nadia, if you could please share with us more about the book.
Absolutely. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. First of all, please allow me to say thank you to Mob United. What you ladies are doing is phenomenal, and it is so important that you understand our gratitude for allowing us to find. Hello, can everyone hear me?
We can still hear you.
Now we do, yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'm sorry. I have some sort of interruption. I'm not sure what that might be, so I apologize. But as I was saying, thank you again, Mom, for allowing Mrs. Carr to have this platform to want to deliver her pearls of wisdom, but also to be able, as what you like to say, change minds, heal hearts, and save lives, and not necessarily in that order. It's so important that everyone understand that the jacket of Mrs. Carr's book, which is actually being featured on your flyer for your conference, is actually a live image of Mrs. Carr being arrested in front of Trump Tower doing a peaceful demonstration. So it's important that everyone know a little bit of history about the cover of the book and why we selected that. Because one of the things that I've always agreed when working with Mrs. Carr is that we're not new to this, we're true to this. And for us to actually be true to this, we actually have to show clear reflection, you know, of what we're doing every day. You know, the publishers, they fought us on that. They felt it was too controversial. But nonetheless, you know, we wanted to make sure that we depicted what we're actually doing every single day. You know, and the book is actually, you can pre-order it. You can pre-order the book, which is you go to Mrs. Carr's website, www.thisstopstoday.com, or you can actually refer to Amazon, and you can actually pre-order the book. The actual book release is not until October 1st, but, you know, you can still go ahead and just get your pre-order at the end of your life. So with that being said, you know, in her book, you will actually discover, you'll learn a lot about not only Mrs. Carr and Eric, but also her journey and everything she had to go through to get to this point, to re-raise awareness, and also to be able to connect with others such as yourselves that can actually identify her fears, her hurt, her pain, her anger. So with that being said, I just want to say thank you again, Mom, for being the conduit of all this wonderfulness and bringing us together. And so with that being said, I'll turn it back over to you, Vanessa, so that way maybe your callers may have some questions. But thank you again for everything.
Thank you. Thank you so much. DePelsa, if you could help us with the moderation, please. Thank you.
Sure. First of all, I just want to say thank you again so much to Mrs. Carr. We really appreciate you sharing your insights, and I know I got a number of good nuggets out of the conversation. I heard you say voting is our most powerful weapon, which I think is very important to remember right now because 2018 is an election year. So just so you know, we do have a legislative platform where we're pushing for certain policies around bail reform, around training for de-escalation, crisis intervention and mental health training, implicit bias and diversity training, along with a number of other things, and we're taking a state-by-state approach on that in terms of trying to get legislation through. So thank you for that. I also heard you say the fight for justice is a big, lonely road, and we have to stand up and do what's right no matter how uncomfortable it is. I think that's why we've come together as moms, and we want to, wrap our arms around you and support you in your efforts, because it shouldn't be lonely. We're all in this together, and we all care about the protection of our sons, so we have to be united. That's why that's a part of our name, because there's power in numbers. Like, there's no way I wouldn't have had the courage, frankly, to do this by myself, but because of this network of moms who are just as passionate about this as I am, I feel stronger, and I feel more empowered, and I feel bolder, and I'm able to get past the discomfort in speaking up about these issues. So thank you for that as well. And, of course, you also said we have to empower our children with the knowledge of what's going on, and that's part of what.
So true.
Amen, right? So we try to do that as well through our education and engagement initiatives. But, there's so much you said that we can learn from. So I just want to allow the group that's on the phone to ask questions. If you have a question, *6 to unmute yourself. We have a few questions in chat, but I'm going to open it up to the phone at first.
Okay.
I'm sorry. If Cassandra is on the line, if you share your question, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning. First of all, I just want to say Happy Mother's Day weekend to all the moms, or Superwoman, as it was just renamed earlier in the call day. So I do want to extend that out to everyone. Again, my name is Cassandra Page. I am CEO and founder of Black Lives Matter African Dysphoria Movement of the Dayton, Ohio chapter. And Ms. Carr, I just want to extend and thank you for sharing with us today. It was very enlightening. But I do want to ask you, Ms. Carr, with so many videos being shown via social media of our people being victimized by police brutality, could you offer any suggestions as to how we can prepare our children not to walk in fear of the police?
Well, first of all, we shouldn't have to walk in fear, but unfortunately, sometimes we do. So I just say, as I said before, just try to stay clear of them. And if you do have an interaction, you just present yourself as you are. We are intelligent Black people. So, especially if you haven't done anything wrong. And if it's a car stop, when your car stops, immediately turn your phone on to take the voices. And don't put it in their face. Just put it face down in your seat. And, and just try to get away from that call, that stop as quickly as you can and without being harmed, I think. Because as Black people, we are prone to be stopped for some reason.
Exactly. Well, thank you for that. That was really enlightening. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And that is such a shame that we feel like we have to avoid the police. And whenever I see them, I just go to the other side of the street because I don't even want to take the chance that there's going to be a negative encounter. But that's great advice to have your phone ready if you get pulled over and just start recording. I have a question. Do you think police brutality and harassment is worse now than it was in the 70s and 80s when you were raising your children?
Well, you know what? It seems like it is, but we didn't have social media at that time, so we didn't know all what was going on.
Right.
So it was a lot going on that we never was exposed to. But I felt like it was better because in some ways the police seemed more respectful. They knew the families. They walked the beat. They interacted with the communities. Like now they just stay in their cars and they don't do these things. They have to have a relationship with the community.
Do you think the community policing initiatives help? I know that's a big thing they're pushing in New York.
Yes, I think that's going to help. I'm not going to say it's going to solve the problem, but it's really going to help.
Okay.
Because if you don't know it, they perceive us as something that we are not. Let them get to know who we really are. And we have some very intelligent, intellectual people in our race, and they don't think that. They stereotype us.
Yep, that's a big part of it, the perception. I'm going to open it up to the phone again for the next question. If you have a question, don't forget to press *6 so you'll be unmuted.
I'm calling right now.
Hi,
I can hear you.
Yes. I can't hear
Oh,
you.
now it's really hard to hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
You sound muffled. I don't know if you're on a headphone or a speakerphone.
Is that better?
Yes, a little.
Oh, okay. Good morning to all the ladies, mothers. Happy Mother's Day. Again, my name is Nikki Hazard, and I'm in California. I wanted to, first of all, give an honor to Mrs. Carr and the work that the extraordinary work that she's doing within the community, and nationally for women and mothers, because I work on a daily basis with mothers, and not just mothers of young children, but even the men themselves. They're walking around in fear. They're being racial profiled just by walking down the street. They're harassed by the police, and this is going on daily. This is happening every day here in California. I hear it because they come into my groups. I hold groups with these men, and you can just hear the fear, and they wonder, why the justice system is failing them. So one of question that I wanted to ask was, when you said to teach them the respect, Mrs. Carr, and teach them not to just respect themselves, but respect others. At what age did you have that conversation with your young with a boy, or even your children? What age do you think you should have that age? That talk with them to let them know there are certain things that they should do. Like you said, if you get stopped by the police, comply with what they say. And I tell them, don't get angry. Don't say, a lot of times say, why are you stopping me? What are you doing? Why you want to frisk me? With police who already think they are in a place of power to even further find some way to anger our young men and even women. So when we're talking about having that conversation, at what age do you think is best to have that talk with the child?
Ms. Carr, are you there? It looks like we have she might have dropped off the call, so just stand by for a minute. We're trying to see if she's still on.
Okay. And the role modeling, too. Well, for an answer, role modeling. And I believe, I tell a lot of the mothers, role modeling begins with them, and the education and knowledge given to our children about what's really going on. We can't really candy coat this, and I think Mrs. Carr has done an amazing job in putting it out there nationally and letting people know, this is going on, and we're not going to sweep it under the carpet anymore.
Right. No, it's a great question because, I struggle with that. Like, we have to let them know what's going on and empower with the knowledge, but I also don't want my sons to walk through life in fear or paranoid or stressed out about this, right? So I think the age question is very important. Like, I don't know what the right age is for having these conversations when they can, process it and handle it psychologically. How old are your sons, may I ask?
My kids are older, but I've been a therapist for starting at 4 years old. And it looks like the age is based upon your environment and where what city, what community that they live in, because it can start as early as 7 or 8. So I think having conversations daily with our children, especially young men, not to put fear, but to educate them, to empower them about what's really going on, because you don't want them to go out in the world and have a false pretense of that, the equality and that they're going to be treated the same. Because, even in the schools, they have to be aware that somebody may steal.
What was the last part you said?
that they may be stereotyped even in the school environment. So you want them to have that knowledge to know when something is not quite right going on, whether it's school, the police stop them. And on a weekly basis, the police, someone said, well, the police stopped me because I fit the description of something. And that's just a reason to harass them and a reason to see if our sons, if our daughters can be triggered into being angry, then it becomes something else, resisting arrest or some other charge that they have. And that's on a daily basis. I see this going on with our children.
Yeah, you're right, and we actually did, and we are having a technical difficulty with Ms. Carr. She got dropped from the call. But we actually did a partnership with a professor at San Diego State University, Dr. Luke Wood, and his wife, who's also a professor, Dr. Adara Wood, called Black Mind Matters. And it was all around how black males' experience in the educational system parallels their experience in the criminal justice system.
Right.
And it was like an 8-part series talking about all the ways that they're targeted very early on, really from preschool, being seen as aggressive and, behaviors that are seen as normal, or maybe not normal, but just like it could be something bad. But if a black child does it, it's overly emphasized. And if a white child has the same behavior, it's not punished. So you see very early on our children start to be funneled into detention and suspension, which leads to juvenile detention and the juvenile justice system and on and on. It's, the school to prison pipeline.
Oh, yeah. You actually can access that, too. You can access that online, the Black Minds Matter. You can actually access it online on YouTube. You can watch all 8 sessions.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what it does, it starts to put a label on the child, and that follows them. And then the next school they go to, the next class, grade, this teacher will look at this record and already label them, oh, this is a problem child, and will interact with them in that manner.
Right, exactly.
There's also last year, I don't know if you guys remember last year at this time, we had a mom who had written a book about a little boy who saw the news, and it opened up conversation between the mom and the son about, an incident having taken place. It was called Mama, Did You See the News? I think it was called.
Right.
And it was targeted towards younger boys, I would say around the age of like 7, maybe to about 11, maybe 12. But what I loved about it is that it simplified some of the conversation that you could have with a younger child about what they see on the news in terms of police brutality, because a lot of times that's where they first encounter those visuals, is on the news or, maybe on social media if they're peeking over your shoulder. I read it and I shared it with my daughter, and I thought it was a great tool to kind of open up those conversations in a lighter way, rather than having to dive too deep into the negative and sometimes even traumatic parts of police brutality and the effects that it can have.
Right. And a lot of our children are seeing it also on TV, when they look at TV, social media. So they're getting this. If we don't talk to them about it, they're going to get it somewhere else. They're going to hear it at school, see it. They all have phones, so they can, friends send them stuff. Oh, look at this. Listen to this fight on the bus or in the subway and other places. So it's very important, and I teach parenting classes. I have an agency in my Families United, and my website is familiesunitedla@yahoo.com. And I've been working with the youth and teens for about 15 years because they do come in and they do ask questions. Why am I treated like this? Why are they doing this to me? They wonder why. And what it does, it creates a sense of low self-esteem, They don't feel like they're being validated. And that's why it's important as moms and I would say fathers too, to give your child that praise. Validate them on a daily basis. Daily basis, I believe children need to be encouraged, need to be told how great they are, how wonderful they are, what a good they're doing, because who else is going to tell them it's not us?
Right.
Absolutely agree with that. I heard you mention that you're in California. Could you share with me again your name and what part of California you're in?
Okay, my name is Mickey, M-I-K-I, Hazard, H-A-Z-Z-A-R-D, and I am actually the mother of Tiffany Darden. I believe you may know her.
Oh, yes, I know Tiffany. Yes, I do.
And I'm a life coach and a therapist, and I'm in Los Angeles area. So I've been seeing this for a long time, and it's so. Miss Carr, Nadia is bringing this to the forefront even more so, because this is a movement, and I'm grateful for your organization, a mom, to be taking this nationally and forward, because without the forcefulness and assertiveness of keeping it out there, they would try to bury what's going on. They would, they can't trying to minimize that this is not going on. This is going on daily, all the time, different cities, different parts of, the U.S. And they believe that we're not going to, that there's some kind of fear or intimidation, that we're not going to stand up. And in the areas that I work in, with this Los Angeles area, and they have an area called in the Valley suburbs called Palmdale and Lancaster.
Yeah, that's what happened.
It's notorious. It's notorious there. And it's almost like they believe law enforcement, the police, the judges can get away with it. I had my son in the system once, and some of the stuff they couldn't believe a black mother was standing up and saying, look, I got a private attorney. You're not going to do this to my son. This is not going to happen. And for 3 years, they thought I would give up because they thought I would run out of money, and that's the thing. Sometimes you don't have the resources to fight, and they know that. So when you're up against a big entity, then you have to have resources like the organization, Mrs. Carr's organization, mob around you, because a lot of these mothers don't have the knowledge and they don't have the resources on what's the next step to do to help my child, to help my son out of these frivolous charges that he's been charged with. He was just on his way to school or on his way to work, and he got stopped by the police, and the next thing you know, he's harassed and thrown in the car, charged with, resisting arrest or, not obeying, complying with the peace officer. And a lot of times it's the charges.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing. We're going to have to move on in the interest of time, but I really appreciate you joining and sharing your story and experiences. We looks like Ms. Carr's having technical difficulties, but I believe Nadia Fisher is back on. Nadia, are you with us, and is there anything you want to share?
Absolutely. First, please, I sincerely apologize. We're not quite sure what's going on with the conference bridge, but I won't solely blame it on that. I think there must be something going on in the signal where Mrs. Carr is and where she lives. So please allow me to extend my heartfelt apologies for that. I've been trying to bring her back on, but it seems like I said it, she just dropped the call. So I apologize. But if you would like to formalize your questions, in some comprehensive document or something, I will be more than happy to get that to Mrs. Carr, and she maybe can, join a call at another time, whenever it's convenient for Mob, to be able to, one, deliver on those questions, because those are very important to her, and actually she's quite upset because she can't get back on the call. So, and again, we thank you wholeheartedly. As I stated, if you'd like to pre-order her book, please go to www.thisstopstoday.
I am actually on the MOB Facebook site. Thank you, ladies, for having me. And so if you'd like to maybe send me some questions, or if you just want to get to know Mrs. Carr better, if you're in the New York area, or if you hear that she's in your surrounding city, please just let me know. She's very, very grounded, and she's always willing and able to help in any regard she can to be able to save and nurture and love our Black boys. So, and with that being said, again, to Pasha and Vanessa, thank you so much for everything, and I look forward to seeing you ladies in Essence and patronizing your booth. And again, if there's anything I can do to continue to help move this movement forward, please feel free to utilize me for that respect.
Thank you so much, Nadia. It's been a blessing and a pleasure to meet you and get to know you, and we will actually see you sooner than that this weekend, right? So,
absolutely.
Right. So thank you. And
happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day to everyone. Just so you know, Nadia and I are also birthday twins.
Yes. Oh, my God, that's right. I love her. And I love her. I love my birthday twin. Yes, we are.
So we will definitely reconnect with Ms. Carr later and just let her know how much we appreciate her taking her time to spend with us. I think although it was cut short, we got a lot out of the conversation and just really appreciate her sharing with us. Is there anyone else on the call who would like to introduce yourself before we wrap up?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Johnny from Plano, Texas. I just want to ask if Nadia could definitely thank Ms. Carr for her time this morning. I got a lot out of the call, and I just want to thank her.
Thank you.
Also, Nadia, if you can pass on to Mrs. Carr that we are definitely saying a special prayer for Erica in honor of Mother's Day tomorrow as well.
Okay. And I just want to share one more quote that I found about motherhood in honor of Mother's Day, which is, when you are a mother, you are never really alone in your thoughts. A mother always has to think twice, once for herself and once for her child. And I definitely find that to be true. I'm always thinking about my children no matter where I am or what I'm doing. So we have to be of, double or triple, however many kids we have, mine at all times. So with that, we will wrap up, and thank you all for joining today. As we mentioned earlier, the next call will be on June 9th, and our guest speakers will be from Noble, the president of Noble, Clarence Cox, and the executive director, Dwayne Crawford. And again, Noble is the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives. So have a great Mother's Day and great weekend, everyone.
Thank you. You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Be safe.
Thank you, too.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.